Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport, and this late in the evening I have just finished watching the American Grand Prix, as I'm sure you have as well. And of course, when I say the American Grand Prix, I mean one of the American Grand Prix, not specific ones. Of course, this one was at Austin, Texas, and it was an interesting one. Not necessarily the most exciting race in the end. I felt that it didn't pay off as I hoped it would. It was interesting to see divergent strategies in a race, but they sort of just didn't pan out for anyone involved, really. Except, of course, Max Verstappen, who won from 6th on the grid and managing a brake issue towards the end. The closest Lewis Hamilton has come to winning possibly since Jeddah 2001, so it's been a long time. And there's a bit of a... I felt he could have pushed more. And Mercedes were not on top of their strategy for a change, and it cost them. Hamilton could have won this one, and in fact, I would say probably should have won this one. You think he was only a couple of seconds behind by the end of the race, and yet he couldn't quite pull that in. And I think, as the commentators rightly pointed out, it might have just been a couple of laps earlier in the race where if they pitted, they would have lost as much time and it would have gone in their favour. But as it is, Max Verstappen once again wins, which at this point in the season is not surprising. He won the sprint race as well, which was the dullest race of all time and still entirely pointless in my opinion. The sprint race was so boring, I was really worried about the main race. It actually really put me off watching it in a way, because 19 laps and the gaps between cars was massive, but I think 10th was about 40 seconds off the lead, which is ridiculous. And I thought, well, if that's going to happen in a race, then it's going to be pointless watching it. Now, as it turned out, the race was a little bit closer, although by the end, once again, we did have fairly big gaps between everyone. No one was really in danger of losing a place on the last lap, except maybe Max Verstappen. So that's something, I guess. We did see some overtakes, but it was mostly DRS overtakes in the same two places, which are the only two places you can really overtake at the Circuit of the Americas in a Formula 1 car. I don't think it's the best track in the world, but I do like it. I really like that first corner. I do like the sweeping bit afterwards, but the rest of the lap for me, it's not like a circuit I really remember. Entirely money and location, because you would have a much better Grand Prix at Laguna Seca, the Monterey Grand Prix or something, which obviously you get in IndyCar. Better track, Road America, Sebring, anywhere, but these are old-fashioned tracks. You won't see them on the Formula 1 calendar because you've got to go to Miami and COTA and Las Vegas. And honestly, Miami and COTA, kind of subpar tracks. So, I mean, actually saying that, the NASCAR race at COTA was decent. I think it was actually one of the better road races of the year, behind Chicago. But yeah, Grand Prix, they have their moments, I suppose. And this one definitely had moments. We didn't have too many retirements, only Piastri and Ocon after they made contact, and I think later in the race Alonso. That meant Stroll and Tsunoda both scored points, which is a rarity for both drivers, and so I'm very happy for them. The rest of the top 8, I think, were pretty much the usual fare. I think Gasly was 8th, and then the usual bunch of Russell, Leclerc, Perez, Sainz, in some order, behind Norris, Hamilton and Verstappen. Obviously the championship's well over now, but the fight for second, I think Perez could have done better in this race. He didn't really show up at all this weekend, and so he has lost a lot of ground to Lewis Hamilton. Russell, again, don't even really remember at any point him being competitive. The Ferraris were very disappointing. They were very quick in qualifying. They had a good start, but they dropped back. And so it was kind of left to the front three of Verstappen, Norris and Hamilton. Really, really was cheering on Norris for this one. I was so excited. I thought there was a good chance here that he was going to win. And unfortunately, once again, he couldn't quite hold on. and by the end he dropped quite a way off. And it became the old dogs, Verstappen and Hamilton. I say old dogs, Verstappen hasn't actually been in Formula 1 all that long. I don't think he's even been there a decade yet. So it's, I mean, honestly, you're a fool to bet against Verstappen under any circumstances right now. And even when he was starting in 6th, I had a feeling that it was going to go his way. And Hamilton put up more of a fight than I thought. Norris put up more of a fight than I thought as well. And Sainz was closing in at the end on Norris, so it was actually a really good job from Sainz. But it's even with brake issues, Verstappen can't be stopped. So that's really the story of 2023. But I was massively disappointed for Lando Norris. And we've now seen several races where this looked like a win could be on the cards. Or I mean, he's been a fairly regular on a podium this year. And he's going in the right direction, but it's just that win won't come. We saw Piastri take a win in a sprint race, which was a great achievement for him and McLaren. But I think they would throw all of their weight behind Lando Norris winning. He is such a fantastic driver. McLaren have put together one hell of a car for the second half of the year. They're now fighting for definitely fighting for 4th. And in fact, I think they have the advantage over Aston Martin now, because Aston have really dropped off. I think they're too far behind Ferrari and Mercedes, but it's not out of the realms of possibility. If those teams run into issues and McLaren have a really strong end to the year, they could catch them. Red Bull definitely too far away. But in the fight for second, I think Alonso is going to be dropping away. So it's Perez, Hamilton, and honestly, Carlos Sainz has been the more informed Ferrari driver right now. So I think those three could be fighting for second by year's end. I think we'll get another really good race out of Sainz this year. I think right now Carlos Sainz is really impressive, and I think definitely in with a chance for second place in the championship. But my big takeaway from this race was I was so disappointed for Lando Norris, and that win has definitely got to come at some point. As I'm not even going to bother going through the rest of the field because you barely saw anyone in this race. Like the Williams, Alfa Romeo, AlphaTauri, and Haas barely featured. Never saw them. They never really got close to the points except for Tsunoda, of course. So a lot of championships coming to an end this weekend. So there's not going to be a lot of motorsport going forward for the last few weeks of the year. We only have 1 month of Formula 1 left. In fact, I think 5 weeks we get the finale. We've only got Mexico, Brazil, I forget where else. Like, I remember looking at the calendar and going, wow, that's really stupid. What was it, like Mexico, Brazil, Las Vegas, Abu Dhabi, something like that. There's not long left. And there isn't a whole lot to fight for, so to fight for second in the championship and second in the constructors between Mercedes and Ferrari, that's the biggest thing we've really got going for us at the moment. I think we've got a couple more sprint races to go, which I really wish someone really needs to think about how this works. Honestly, if you're Haas, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, even Williams, why'd you bother? If you're not going to get out of Q1, I wouldn't even bother turning up for the sprint race, because chances are you're not going to get any points. You've got to finish in the top 8. Well, you're struggling to finish in the top 10 to score points. You're not going to finish in the top 8 unless something chaotic happens. You're better off surely saving the tyres and the engine and the gearbox. Like, literally, if I got no time in Q1, I'd park it. And if there's a rule that says you have to race, I would do the formation and say, oh, something's broken and coming in, retire, that's it. And leave just the top 8 cars in the field out there to battle for the points, which the gaps between them are small, so it's not even that big a deal. So sprint races, I just don't get it. I don't get the benefit other than for the spectators that are there live, and obviously Formula 1 tickets are very expensive, so maybe it's just they feel the need to put more on. But I don't think it's worth the effort for a lot of the Formula 1 drivers. I'm sure you can entertain the fans in other ways. I think the support programs of Formula 1 are ridiculously spread out. You'll get some race weekends where you have Formula 2, Formula 3 and Porsche Super Cup. I think they should be spread out between all the races. If you're going to have this massive calendar, spread them out. Why have we got like a Formula 2 race? I think the last one was like end of August, early September, and then the last one's in like end of November. Such a massive gap. Why not spread them out evenly throughout the year? Mix them up with Formula 3 so they're never racing at the same time, so you've always got a top class support race. You can throw F1 Academy in there now as well, and Porsche Super Cup, and some local races. You could put on 4 or 5 days of great motorsport action, rather than have this sprint format where you're spreading Formula 1 over 3 days. Honestly, it makes it less special, which you're doing anyway with this extended calendar. I don't get it. It just does not make sense to me, this sprint format. I don't think anyone was really asking for it, and I'm not sure who's benefiting from it. So that's my thoughts on this race. It was okay. I'm not saying it's a 5-star race. Maybe 2.5, 3 stars. I thought it was going to be way more exciting towards the end than it was. We got a little chase between Hamilton and Verstappen, but in the end, once again, the Dutchman is out on top. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you feel like joining, you can do that now. Check out more videos. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing and supporting me. And, of course, have a good one.